Friends in a Podcast. We're so glad you're here. We're your hosts, Natasha and Lindsay.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry, my washing machine that I've been battling with all day. I've been washing my bed sheets since 11 a.m. and it
No
is now
way.
4:07 p.m. in my washer because they're just too heavy for it. And I know better, but I don't listen to myself. And I put my comforter and my sheets in because I'm impatient. And here we are 5 hours later, and it's finally. But I say finally, when I went down there and put them on the rinse only cycle, there was still a big glob of my detergent on it. So I'm hoping it rinsed it out, but we'll see because this is the 6th time that we've started it over. So
Oh, Lord.
it's fine.
Well,
That is if you heard the chiming, that's what that was. Right
well,
on cue.
good times, good times. I love it. Um, I am sitting at our church because we've had a full day of things. And so I'm in between things. We still have more going on tonight. So I totally get it. But I'm really sorry about your sheets because that's frustrating.
It's all right. You know, it happens. And somewhere around here, I have a shaken espresso that I haven't finished, and I don't know where it is, but I want that.
Sad day.
I know. It's somewhere. It'll be fine.
You know what my favorite is at Starbucks right now? Um, well, I love the pecan latte that they have. So
Mhm.
delicious. But if you do a brown sugar shaken espresso, I know you don't like pumpkin, but just hear me out. Pumpkin cream cold foam on top is a wonderful blend.
I wish that Starbucks had more sugar-free options, so I'm pretty limited there. But I really like their shaken espresso, 2 pumps of sugar-free vanilla, and that's chef's
Ooh,
kiss. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I love shaken espresso. So good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought today we could jump into a new topic. I know that for the last few episodes we've been talking a lot about grief, and that was a really great series that we just wrapped up. And so today I thought we could talk about fear and overcoming fear in how that works with friendship, right? Because we need each other to get through hard times. And so when we talk about fear, do you ever have FOMO?
All the time. Like I can tell you that I've definitely said yes to stuff that I had no business doing. Not bad, but like I should have stayed home and cleaned or my tank was empty and I knew that I was so exhausted, but I didn't want to miss out on hanging out with someone or doing the thing. So then that's where it like plays into part and then I pay for it later.
Yep. Been there, done that before.
Mhm. Yeah. What
Yeah.
about you?
I think it's more of an internal struggle. I don't I don't know. I don't feel like it's a big deal to me. But then there are the moments, right? Like when it's a group of friends that you're like, "Oh, I would have liked to do that too," you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess in some ways, but not a ton.
I also struggled with it at my last job when I would work from home and everybody else would be in the office, like if we had rotating days or something, I would kind of have like the fear of missing out on the conversations, the inside jokes, and like wanting to be there for those. And so I don't know. I that one was more of an internal struggle. Like I still worked from home and did the things, but even going on vacation sometimes, I'm like, what am I going to miss out on? I don't know. It's a real
Well,
problem.
that's why it's called the fear of missing out, right?
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
That's too funny. So when we talk about fear, like what's one of the first things that comes to mind when you hear the word fear?
Clowns. No,
Yes,
but
I really
but for
do.
real.
I don't
Yeah.
like clowns.
No, me either. No way.
Sorry
Mm-mm.
to those of you who are that profession, but
Yeah. No, I
they
can't
freak
do
me
it.
out.
That and darkness. Fun fact, I sleep with a nightlight because I'm terrified of the dark. Unless I'm staying at someone's house or someone is staying at my house, like I have a friend who visits maybe twice a year. Complete darkness in my house is fine. But when it's just me, I have a nightlight in my bedroom. I have a nightlight in the bathroom. There is light in my house.
That's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't do scary movies for that reason. Like,
Yeah.
e- even just the ads for horror movies, I'm out. Like, I am freaked out, and the images are like bored into my, is that the right word? Bored into my brain.
Buried? I don't know.
Anyway, the
Buried?
images are burned into my brain.
Burned.
We'll use
That's
burned. That's a real word.
can
I'm
we
not
cut
sure.
that from the record?
Um, but yeah, it's intense. Like, my husband enjoys watching horror movies, and
Mhm.
that's something he does without me because I can't do it.
Fair. I like watching them with people, but I can't do it by myself, and I can't go home and sleep by myself after, like,
No, absolutely
no.
not.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
that's like sleepover material.
Yes. And
Yeah.
usually I have to like watch something light afterwards or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I'm putting on Big Bang Theory, something I can
yes,
laugh at.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't enjoy being afraid on purpose. So
Mhm.
one of the scariest things that ever happened to me. So uh my birthday is Halloween, and I was attending a Hell House. Have you ever heard of these?
Yeah, I was in it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up when I was in high school, a local church in our area put on this Hell House thing,
Mhm.
and I went with my mom, and we're walking through it. And now, mind you, I am easily scared. I'm very jumpy. Okay. But we're walking through this like depiction of what hell would be like. And
Mhm.
one of the demon creatures walked up behind me, and I didn't know they were there because, mind you, there's hundreds of people in this thing, and whispers in my ear, "Happy birthday, Natasha."
No,
And I was like, like, I think
absolutely not.
like, if I can't even tell you how freaked out I was because I knew that I knew a lot of people in this
Sure,
production.
sure.
I didn't know who this person was
Right,
because they're all in like costume and stuff. And the fact that they knew I was there that night, because like, how would they know? Because
right.
there were hundreds of people coming. Anyway, I was freaked out. I think I held my mom's hand the rest of the night. And when we got to the end, when like you're in heaven and there's angels and it's all white and all that stuff, that was the first time that I started to like kind of breathe a little bit. But that was the scariest moment of my whole life.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't recommend.
Mhm. There you
So
go.
we survived. We moved
Yeah,
on. It's fine.
yeah.
I lived past that birthday and had another
You
one.
did. Here you are.
But don't recommend. So fear has a lot of different connotations. We were talking about like silly, funny things, but fear can also like really settle in our hearts, and we can live in a state of fear. And a lot of times fear of something is usually based on a lie of something else, right? Like, fear of missing out is that you're going to not experience whatever the people are experiencing, right? I guess that one's not based on a lie, but lies are always intertwined
Mhm.
with what we believe. And when we have friendship and people around us to support us in the midst of feeling intense fear, that can be helpful. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that fear is it's one of those things because I think that it can spiral very, very quickly, right?
Hmm.
And I think there's a healthy amount of wonder in fear, like what would happen if this happened?
Hmm.
And you can sit with that, but if you start to sit with that for too long and think too long on it, then that's where it can become a problem. So, FOMO, fear of missing out. Well, I'm going to miss out on the experience. I could cut that thought there and be like, but there will be more experiences.
Yeah.
Or I
Hmm.
can sit with that thought there and be like, well, they're going to go off and they're going to become really good friends and I'm going to be left out. And now I'm not going to be their friend. They're not going to want to hang out with me because now they have something in common that I don't share with them. And that's so minor and almost like when you scale it back a little bit, like you can look at that and think, well, that's a really silly depiction of that. But in the
It's
moment
real.
for someone, that's a real feeling that you're feeling on the inside. So I think that it's what you do with the thoughts that you have and how you
Mm.
allow fear to dictate them? Do you cut it off at the source, or do you
Mm.
sit with it and allow it to grow and fertilize it, for lack of a better terminology, and allow it to really sprout and take root in your life?
Yeah, so what you just said reminded me of a book that I read not too long ago. Actually, it was in 2020. So yeah, it actually was a while ago. Um, but it was called Get Out of Your Head by Jenny Allen, and that book talks about it just like that. Like you got to stop it at the source, because when we dwell on those thought patterns, then that's when we spiral and we can go into an array of different things,
Mhm,
right? And she laid it out in the book, and that was really helpful, because just like you said, we can either, and I think one of the things she said in the book is follow the thought. So like if this thought started here, like if you follow it to its end, like where would you end up? And then back up and be like, is that where I want to end up? And it was really helpful to have that like laid out that way, that if you think about like, okay, this thought, whether it's fear based or maybe it's, about something else, like if you follow it all the way to the end, like the end result is going to be, I'm going to act out in this way, should I continue down this thought pattern?
yeah.
And like you're saying, like it's really easy to spiral when we focus on the things that aren't helpful.
Right. And I think that sometimes in the midst of our fear, we start thinking about the what ifs, and then the what ifs. I am a conspiracy theorist to my own detriment. Like, I don't think about worldly things in a conspiracy way, but I think about my own life in conspiracy ways, and I roll with them. Like, one of my biggest fears is driving down the road and hitting a deer, and the deer's legs coming through the windshield and hitting my face, and then it goes really dark from there. And
Oh
but
boy.
like it's like so silly, and but I don't even know like where that came from. Just one day that became a fear of mine that I have, and I drive really, really slow at night. And like, because my brain just one day was like, that could happen to you and you won't be recognizable and no one will know it's you. And so I just spiral quick, right? But that's like how quickly fear can come in and bring you down a road that's probably not going to happen. Probably rare that you hear about those incidents. I can't even think of a time that I've heard that happening to anyone, but my brain
And
went
we
there
live in Maine where people hit deer often. And
all the
my dad,
time.
growing up, like I can't tell you how many times we're like, "Oh, dad hit another deer." Like,
Yeah, right. I
oh,
don't know that
that's
I've
fun.
ever heard one single story of that happening to a person, but somewhere it is deep rooted in my brain that if you hit a deer, their hind legs or their front legs are going through the windshield to your face. And
How are
so
you? What angle are you hitting this deer
I
at
don't
that
know.
their legs are?
Apparently, I'm hitting them and they're popping into the sky, into the windshield. I don't know. I don't know. And I recognize that it's silly, but it's a fear. But my point with that is that I think that sometimes in our own life, we latch on to this idea and we let all the what ifs run until sometimes they're so unrealistic that, but they feel so real to us that
Yeah.
we hold that and then we walk in a place of fear. We talked a couple weeks ago about grief, right? And grieving like where we're not at in life. And I shared writing down my hopes and my dreams and looking back at that and being, well, I'm nowhere near those things. And this is probably not going to happen. But what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? And it's easy whenever you're not seeing what you thought would be come to life to fear what does the future look like because it's so unknown and so unplanned in our minds, right? Because we can't see it, that it's easy to latch onto fear and think like the worst could happen. And I've said it before. I grew up with a parent who said, expect the worst. So when something bad happens, it's not that bad. But that's all so fear based, right? So it's so easy
Right.
to live in that fear of the unknown all the time.
Yeah. And oftentimes, at least I should say in my life, like if I'm dwelling on something, I'm
Mhm,
usually isolating and either not sharing that part of what's going on in my head, or I'm not
mhm,
as quick to hang out or whatnot. And so a lot can happen when we're isolated and
mhm.
we're removed from people, but when we aren't isolated and we are in community with others, that's where you can shed light on it if you're willing to share it. Because
Mhm.
there's been times that like things felt so big in my head because I was dwelling on them and playing out the what ifs. And for sure, they don't like me anymore because, they went out with these people and that must mean that they're best friends now. And so when you play that over in your head and you can play out all of the scenarios, it feels really big and that must be how it's going to play out. But when you bring in somebody else, an outside perspective, and you like share your fear with them, then all of a sudden this really big thing is minimized. And
Right.
usually like you can talk your way out of like, oh no, that's not really how that's going to play out. Because when you share it with somebody and you bring it like light into the darkness of what that fear is,
Yeah.
oftentimes it'll shrink in its magnitude because you're like, oh, wait, that isn't that bad. Because also, at least for me, if I say it out loud, all of a sudden I'm like, well, that was dumb. Like
Yeah. No,
in my
that's
head,
fair.
it feels so big and it's like overwhelming. But then if I have to say it out loud, like I'm talking through something with my husband or whatever, and I say that thing out loud, I'm like, well, now that I've said it out loud,
Yeah.
don't this is the end. Like, I
Yeah.
have nothing else to say because this had no weight. And
Right.
yeah, it's been storing up so much space in my mind because I isolated and didn't allow anybody else to speak into that situation.
No, that's so fair. I have sat with over the years, right? Like I am not in a marriage relationship and I don't have children or any of those pieces. So there have been times in my life where the what if has become, well, I'm reaching 40 soon. I'm probably going to die alone with no kids in a nursing home and no one to visit me. Like that's where my brain goes sometimes. And I have to like reel it in. And when I say it out loud, I'm like, well, first of all, that part of life, I may have another 40 years of life left. I may have another 50 years of life left. Who knows? And who am I to say what's going to happen to me in 40 years or 50 years? That feels like it's not that far away, but in reality, that's 40 plus years away from my
Right.
reality of maybe needing that type of care, right? And then the other side of that is okay, but you have friends right now and you're continuing to build relationships in the now. And maybe those relationships will look different in 40 years, but also maybe they'll look even stronger and better. And those will be the people by your bedside. So who are you to say? And then like my brain comes back to reality and says, that's not fair to the people who love you and are surrounding you in your life because they want to be there for you now. So let's focus on right now
Yeah.
today and
Yeah.
harvesting or building those relationships for the future, right? And so I think sometimes when we can speak life to the situation as opposed to our negativity to the situation and
Hmm.
kind of look at our current realities, it makes the future not feel so scary. Like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen a year from now. Why am I trying to plan for 40 years from now, you know?
Right. Let's make it to the end of the week. Like,
Right. Right.
like,
But
yeah.
but I do that, you know, I sit in a lot of fear and a lot of worry, and I think that sometimes we're just programmed that way. Like
Hmm.
we live in a world where we have to have certain things to live life and live commodities. So it's easy to get caught up in the fear of, well, where's the next paycheck going to come from if I lose my job? How am I going to do this or do that? But I think that when we surround ourselves with community, that minimizes a little bit of those fears because we create kind of a safety that, okay, I know that I'll be okay because I have Natasha by my side. And I know that if I ever needed anything, she's going to make me soup and bring it to me if I need, like those kind of
Right.
things. If I'm hurting for a meal, my community will take care of me for a meal. Or if I lose my job today, I have great contacts and community that's going to help me wherever they can. And so, yeah, I think just that building on community can eliminate a little bit of fear in our lives.
Yeah. When you were talking, it reminded me of the verse. I don't remember the reference, but there's a verse in scripture that talks about how um what will it what does it profit us to worry? Like it's not going to add
Mhm.
any time to our life, is
Right.
like the gist of what it says. And being reminded that we can worry. We can
Mhm.
choose to stay in fear, but it's not going to add any time to our life. In fact, it will probably take away time because we're so caught up in the fear of what we don't know. And oftentimes and like you said, we can't control what happens to us in the future.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense for us to get caught up in the what ifs of 10, 15 years from now, or even next month, right? Like, I
Mhm.
know that there's a lot of unknowns in our world, and it sounds easy to just sit here and be like, well, don't worry, right? But, at the end of the day, what happens tomorrow is going to happen. We can't control that. We're not in control of time and space. And so there's only so much that we can do, but we can choose to be present where we are, and we can choose to think on things that will help us and bring peace into our lives rather than be overcome by all the what ifs.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there's a level of proactive to that. And to go back to what you were saying about instead of sitting with our worry or sitting with our fear for days upon days upon days, reaching out to somebody and sharing that load, that heaviness with someone
Mhm.
and letting them speak life into it when we can't, right?
Right.
When, when we don't have the ability to see the positive side of things, letting
Mhm.
somebody else in that maybe has a different perspective or has walked through that before and allowing them to speak into your life just some encouragement. They may not have the right answers. They might not be able to give you what you need in that moment to decrease the fear, but they can let you lean on them a little bit longer and encourage them through that process.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can't tell you how many times that's happened in my life where it felt really big or overwhelming or just like a heavy burden, like you said. But once you talk through it and you get somebody else's perspective that they see, because they're not living in your shoes and they don't see it from your perspective, how much lighter you feel. And you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna make it. Like this isn't gonna be the end. We are gonna be able to push through. And
Yeah.
it sounds easy, right? Like it sounds
Mhm.
like something we should be able to just do. Pick up the phone, send the text, write the message and tell them what you're worried about. And not everything is that cut and dry. And I understand, like, there's moments when you're not sure that you can because you're in the middle of it, right? But it is important to have community so that when you have people around you that can recognize those things in you, to know that, hey, I think you're not talking about something, or hey, you seem a little distant lately. Can you tell me what's going on? Um, and then, maybe you have to have someone pull it out of you. I'm guilty of that, um, often. But it's important to have those people in your life too, so that um, we can share the load because life is done better together. And when we share the load, it does make those moments feel a lot lighter.
That's true. And I think having those people that even when you can't like put your finger on it or put it into words what you're feeling, sometimes we just feel big feelings. And sometimes those big feelings are fear of the unknown. And I think being able just to reach out and be like, hey, I can't tell you what's going on because I can't even put words to it, but I just need a friend. And having a person who just understands that and says, okay, I'm here. What can I do? Is there anything I can do? Maybe sometimes it's just that person replying like a prayer for you. And I know for me, sometimes getting those texts, like whatever you're going through and lifting that up has meant the world as opposed to trying to put a pinpoint because it makes you almost feel more anxious when someone's asking you to, well, what is it? What specific can I pray for? And you're just like, I don't know. I just, I
I just
just,
need Jesus.
I just need, yes. And then someone to show up physically or be here, and sometimes that just feels so relief, right? For you.
Yeah, for sure. So, whether you're facing fear or trying to overcome fear, or maybe you're riddled with fear, um, wherever you are in that, just know that it's going to be okay. And I'd encourage you to reach out to someone and share it with somebody that you trust because there's so much hope and on the other side of that. And the burden that you feel, isn't going to take you out. There are people that care for you. So we just want to encourage you with that. The fear doesn't have the last say.
That's a wrap on this episode of Two Main Friends in a Podcast. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can also send us an email at twomainfriends@gmail.com. And as always, leave us a review wherever you're listening.